So I bought this Michael Myers mask off Walmart, and I don't think it really looks like him. So we're gonna rehaul him. So the reason why it doesn't look like him is his eyes are not exactly how it is in the movie. He's also gray, silverish, gold color, and his hairline's all messed up. So what I have done is I cut the hairline because it's sewed in, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel it back. I'm going to take all the stitching out, and then I'm going to repaint him, and then I'm going to fix up the hair. He has like this mullet going on action. Usually it's supposed to be all natted up like the movie is, and it doesn't go past his neck. But the reason why they did that is because, one, they didn't glue all the way, and two, so they could hide the seam. But in the movie, you could see the seam. So what we're gonna do is we might either cut it or we might just nat it. But I'm definitely gonna cut the edges here. So let's see how that goes. Right now you can see all the where they stitched his hairline. So we're gonna take all this excess thread and clean it up a little bit. Now, as we can see with our Wish mask, I'm going to call it the Wish mask because it looks like it came from Wish.com, and we look towards the mask that was in the film with Nick Castle over here. This is probably the best look I could get at how the eyes are going to be. Now, I feel like this mask might have been inverted because I feel like this eye looks more close to that eye. So after you have your eyes to your liking, I did do a few extra here and there. So the eyes aren't the best, but they're better than what they were. I just touched it up. I noticed in the pictures he does have like a pointy spot here, and this eye goes into a almost an almond point to it. The eyes are already close enough, so I want to stay away from cutting within the nose area. His nose also, I can't help that his nose isn't correct either. It's kind of more fatty than pointed like the movies, but so far it's looking better. So he's ready for a shower now. I have his shower cap on. I pushed his hairline back, and then we are going to paint him. So right now I just painted him, and the spray paint I'm using because Michael's, the paint that I really need is at Michael's, and Michael's is way too far away. And so the only other option, the best option, is going for a Rust-Oleum Industrial Choice Athletic Field White, because this stuff is a oil-based paint. It will adhere to a latex finish. Also, it's for the athletic field, so it is going to move with the mask also. So we just did one dust coating, and then we'll wait, and then we'll do another coating, and then I'll finish it up with like an off-white. This is also a warning if you're using any kind of paint, especially this type of paint. Now that I just look at it, this is water-based, which is probably not the best. You want more of an oil-based, but water also works. You just don't want to use a lot because it will cake up. You also want to use a gloves and a respirator when dealing with any kind of spray paint. Sorry about the noise. I have the fan on because of the spray paint. So what we're going to do now is, after it's done drying, we are going to take some brown acrylic. You want to use acrylic so it gets in between the cracks, and we're going to just brush it with wet first, let it dry, and then after that we're going to dry brush it and then let it dry this way so it gets all in the cracks. As you can see, it's already going in the cracks, so we're going to just lather it on, and then we're going to wipe it off. So what I'm doing is, before it dries, I just want to show you guys. Now it's going to be wet. Okay, we're going to just wet brush it using a sponge brush. And you're going to take it and you're just going to dab. You're going to dab. This way, all that brown and black gets in between the cracks that we really don't have time to get into. As you can see, I'm just dabbing and see the cracks right in between. All that color is gonna stay. So I tried getting a dark brown, almost black color, but it's more on the light side because we did paint them white. So far so good. All right, so I'm gonna go over it again with less water now. We're gonna go a little bit thicker. We're gonna brush it, and as you can see, it's already coming through with the cracks here, there. So we're just gonna go a little bit thicker. We're gonna do the same method. We're gonna go over it, and we're gonna take the tissue paper, and then we're gonna dab it. Make sure you get all those cracks, and then we'll probably go over it with a dark color, like maybe a darker brown, maybe a dark green, almost black. To go into those finer details. Now, from what I've seen with the pictures online, he does have a green tinge to him, so I did add a little bit of green to our brown dirty mix. It makes sense. I mean, the mask has been through a lot. It's been aging. It's probably been sitting. Who knows who's had it. It's been in the dirt. It's been in everything. It's been through blood. We are going to do a little bit of a blood mix soon. I'll show you guys how to do that very soon. But it is coming together. It looks a lot better than the silver and gold color he was. He looked like a Tin Man. The paint I'll be using today is acrylic craft paint. This is just the paint that I got at the dollar store, so it's nothing too much. This was like $5. This was like $3. The only thing that was the most expensive was the Rust-Oleum athletic field. That was maybe $9. It is looking a lot better, but when I'm looking to the camera, it is very still white. So I'm going to try to work on that. I'll be right back. All right, so it does look a lot darker from my point of view. The camera and the light might make it look a little bit lighter, but I really like how he's coming through. And we're going to do the little touches in his face. So I've been using these two brushes as I go along. This is the dry brush I did without any water. I did the sponge brush with some water. And now we are going to use, this is all the stuff I got at the dollar store, by the way. So we're going to be using these little tiny detail brushes to get in between. And we're going to do a little bit darker for that. So if you know anything about color theory, I mixed red with green with a slight hint of black, and it gets you this ugly, I'm using a shell by the way, gets you this ugly dark brown, but when you, I'll show you, when you put it on the mask, it almost becomes like a light brownish purple. Now if you know anything about dry blood over time, especially with paintings, a lot of artists did blood paintings back in the day. See how it's getting a little bit purple? When blood dries, it turns very like a dark brown, almost like a dark purple. And as you can see, it's getting into those cracks, so that's what we want. We want that. We want to get like a blood effect almost in his cracks. Especially here, especially in his neck area, where over time he was stabbed So we're gonna put a lot here. Let some of that dry, and then we're gonna pat it dry. Again, we're doing the same method. We are putting the somewhat dry paint on, and I try not to rub, but sometimes it works a lot better. You want to dab. You always want to dab. See how that works? Getting a little bit too pink up there, so I'm going to try to get rid of that. But dab, 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 dab. Alright, so we finished up with black. I did use the sponge actually for the black. I think it helps a lot better. So we just used black, no water, just dry paint, and we just dabbed. Instead of just wiping, we dabbed. So I focused more on the eyes area and his nose, crinkle on the sides, because this mask doesn't have the crinkle, so I try to use black in places that need more definition. So like I did there. Probably let that dry a little bit and then wipe it. And then his cracks were more prominent in the mask area. So mostly his eyes. He does have a cut here on his right eye, and kind of goes up here a little bit. But I also want the eyes to be more dark, because in the film you can't really see his eyes. So, or 90% of the time in the movie. So again, we just want to dab, focus on his eyes mostly his facial expressions, lack of, and you just want to dab. Everything else seems fine. I'll probably go back and do a little bit touches of green on the bottom here, usually where you would put on the mask. So all that oil on your fingers, you put on the mask, and then probably touch up the red here, make darker. It is a little bit that ugly blood brown, but so far it looks a lot better than what it was. Alright, I think I have it to where I like it. I did kind of mess up over here because I was going to go back with white and just lightly touch up so you have that still whiteness to it. But what happened was when I did it, it just stripped all the paint that was already on it, so I had to go back and touch it up. Actually, it looks a lot dirtier now, but I kind of neglected this side. I didn't even touch this side, but I think this side is actually better than the side that I was working on mostly. But I think overall it looks a lot better than what it was. And I could always go back and touch it up. But after this step, we're going to seal it with our sealing spray paint. Probably do 1 or 2 coats. You don't want to do heavy because it is latex, and you do have to move it around a little bit. And then after that, we're going to clean up the hair and then re-glue the hair, and then mat it in the back, and then that should be it. Alright, now I don't specifically know what clear coat to use, so this is the only clear coat I have. We're going to just do light touch-ups so the acrylic paint actually stays. So just going to do very, very light touch-ups. With any spray paint, make sure you shake very well, especially the clear one, because otherwise, if you do spray without shaking it, it comes out white. Okay, we're gonna probably do 2 coats, maybe 3. I don't want it too glossy. As you can tell from the light, it's already glossing over. We're only doing this so it protects the acrylic, so we don't want it too glossy. If anything, I would probably go over with a touch-up brush with brown again and just smack it with some brown. Now gloss coating does take a while, so I'm gonna have to let this sit for at least 45 minutes until we do the second coat. All right, so we sprayed it one last time, so we did 2 coats of the gloss, and then I just did a thin, dry coat with the brown on top of it, and then I do like the same way we've been doing it. I just patted it dry, so it doesn't have that high gloss finish. But for what it is, it looks pretty good. Is it screen accurate? No, but it's way better than the $12 mask I got before, so I think it's a little bit on the more dirty side than the film was, but for what it is, it's a lot better. So what I'm doing now is probably the most difficult part about this is fixing the hair. Now, because we peeled the hair back, his hairline's gonna go, he's gonna have a bigger hairline now, and we don't really want that. So what I'm doing is I'm getting rid of the portion where you could actually see the meshing that they stitched the hair to. So I'm gonna get rid of the portion where you can see it, and then we're gonna use tacky glue to redefine his hairline. And if we have to, we'll take some from the back because he does have a lot here already that we don't need. His hair doesn't go past his neck, but in this mask, it's already going past. His hair actually ends pretty high, so if we have to, we'll take some mesh from the back and we'll apply it from here. So basically, we're giving him a hair transplant. And there you have it. Now the hair is probably the biggest issue I have, and still this one eye is just droopy, but I think it gives a character. I mean, overall, I can't do too much. And there you have it. I mean, from a side profile, it looks good. Straight on kind of looks derpy, but the side profile looks good.